Here I've started by taking the geological survey map and turning it on its head, so it gives a kind of Eurocentric perspective. And then I've added the illustrated areas which are under undisputed national control in the form of national territories, in the form of economic zones, or in the form of undisputed shelves under national control. And what does it show us? It's quite clear. It shows us that only 3 of the 5 unresolved maritime borders on the previous slide are found in areas with a high likelihood of finding petroleum. And also, to just return to that, the 2 potential disputes focusing on the North Pole as such has no relevance whatsoever when it comes to energy. There is the US-Russian maritime, not dispute, but unclarity in the Chukchi and Bering Seas. What remains here is ratification by the Russian Duma. The agreement stands. It has not been ratified on the Russian side. The petroleum potential isn't that great, frankly speaking. There's no need, when discussing a conflict potential in the Arctic, to go into US-Canadian disputes. These will be handled in a civilized way. Maybe you will continue to agree to disagree, or you'll sooner or later start to agree. It doesn't really matter when we talk about the conflict potential in the Arctic. But what is a bit more serious, and I say that not only because I am Norwegian, but I think there are solid reasons for it. There remains the disagreement between Norway and Russia about delimitation in the Barents and also polar seas. You know the basic conflict in Norway, with reference to the Convention on the Law of the Seas, claims the median line, while Russia, with reference to the 1926 decree claims the sector line. And, a provisional agreement to disagree was made in the late 1970s, and so far no solution has been found. And in this area, there are expected petroleum deposits. But again, when compared to the overall picture, they are very, very, very limited, maybe 2 or 3% of the total deposits in the Arctic area. Yeah, I will go on to the next. So, let me try to summarize the findings so far. We might draw several conclusions. As you see here, there is no doubt there are clearly large energy resources in the Arctic. And the Arctic already is, and may be even more so in the future, a globally significant energy region. But most of the promising fields are undisputed. Most of the most promising fields are on undisputed continental shelves, or even more important, on undisputed land territory. For instance, the Stockman field, there is no doubt about who has ownership of the Stockman field, it is Russia. There's no conflict about that. There cannot be any conflict about that. So, for me, the conclusion is quite clear. The potential for conflict over the combination of delimitation disputes or unclarities and energy resources is highly exaggerated. Those who claim there is such a potential for conflict must make a much, much stronger case than they did so far. Sorry for that. Let me also add here that there are economic factors that create strong inherent interests that will tend to maintain stability and predictability in the Arctic. And this is particularly true for energy-producing countries. And which country is the absolutely dominating energy producer in the Arctic? It is Russia. Why is this so? It's quite simple, actually. Large-scale exploitation of technologically and environmentally challenging Arctic Ocean petroleum fields is only imaginable under conditions of regional stability. And this also applies to the transportation of these resources out of the area, oil and gas. And it also applies to the exploitation of mineral resources on the Arctic Ocean seabed, which we don't hear as much about that, but that is also an issue. And also, it should not be forgotten in this context that security of demand is as important for the energy producer as security of supply for the importer. If there's no one to buy your oil, there's no need to produce it. And this, of course, again, is particularly important for a country like Russia, which is heavily dependent on its energy exports. How many minutes left?
You've got another 7 minutes.
Okay, Jakob, I will just go briefly through some Russian issues, but I don't think I will steal your show, really. I just make the point why Russia is so important here.